Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is a beautiful Sunday that the Lord has given to us, and I hope that your Sunday was blessed. Mine was blessed. Yesterday, the president was in State House meeting 3,000 delegates, including elders, involving elders and elected leaders from central Kenya, drawn from the counties of Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Kiambu, Murang'a, and the other counties, and Laikipia. That meeting was attended by only the males. And I have been going through the different reports, and of course there are some audios that are there, just to divulge on what exactly happened at State House. That meeting, the delegates were close to 3,000, and they were allowed to get in with their phones, but the media coverage was suspended, especially with the State House team. And even the rest of the media were not invited. There was no media invite for that State House meeting. The president started addressing the delegation at the tent, the elders in the tent, at around 2, because in the morning hours he had another meeting. So do you remember the meeting that was botched? That the meeting that the president was to have the Jubilee elected leaders. Now that meeting happened yesterday before he walked in to address the rest of the team, the rest of the delegates in the tent. And if you're keen, you'll realize that Kanini Kega was missing in the rallies. He was not with Raila in Kakamege. He was not with the Oledama Olekina team in Narok, and not even with Mama Ida in Meru, because those were the key political rallies of the Azimio. So before I look at the objective of that meeting, let me just bring you up to speed with what transpired or what Uhuru Kenyatta said there. Uhuru Kenyatta took an issue and took time to explain why he fell out with his deputy. So the president spoke about 2017. During the party primaries, Uhuru said that the people who were seen to be around him were actually rigged out by DP Ruto, because by then they agreed that Ruto was going to do the party politics, then he was going to run the government by them. And so he mentioned Kabogo, Priscilla Nyukabi, Kabando Akabando, Jamle Kamau, Kembi Gitura, Karaba, a host of other leaders who, according to President, was around him, but they were rigged out in the party primaries by DP Ruto. But Uhuru did not see that. Then he went ahead and explained that after the general election, William Ruto wanted to topple him as the president, and he said what Tuju once said, that Ruto approached Raila so that they could sabotage the government. And he wanted to use Raila Odinga to make sure that they actually impeach the president. And so that is why Uhuru said he went for Raila. After realizing that William Ruto wanted to use Raila to sabotage him, he now went ahead of Ruto and convinced Raila otherwise to support him. And for the first time, he was confessing that even though Raila had some demands, but after long negotiations, they agreed to work together unconditionally. And that's why also his support for Raila is unconditional. That is what the president said. And in his language, he said that he portrayed William Ruto as a deputy who is power hungry and was willing to stop at nothing to make sure that he takes over power from him even before his time expires. That is the president. This is part of what the president told the elders in State House. And so it was all about this. And so he talked about William Ruto starting over the early campaigns and all that. So according to him, William Ruto is persona non grata in central Kenya as far as the game of politics is concerned. That is a rough, just a brief, because the statement was lengthy. It was more. President spoke out his heart to this group. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's face it. Why do you think the president convened that meeting? And by the way, that is not the only one. I have. You remember during Sagana declaration, I mentioned here that there was going to be Sagana 4, and it will take different form, and this is the form of Sagana 4, because the meeting yesterday was Kikuyu elders with male elected leaders. I think he's also going to meet Nyakinyo. I'm told is a group of women. I don't know, they're women leaders. The Nyakinyo is going to be there with the female women elected leaders from Gema. Then the other meeting is going to hold with Njuri Ncheke from Meru and Tharaka Nithi. Then after Njuri Ncheke, the president is also going to meet women elected leaders from Meru, Tharaka Nithi, and Embu counties. Now, first let me say, why do you think that the president is opting for the boardroom meetings with the elders instead of going to the ground? One, I mentioned here that Raila, the president strategy was Raila to go and seek his support and get his audience. And Raila got the audience with the learned fellas and the senior citizens from Gema. The only group that is still struggling with is the masses, that is the youth. Because then they have been radicalized and they are more of the deputy president side. So Uhuru Kenyatta also wants to convince this team, because this team already have a warm reception for Raila Odinga, and Uhuru wants to use them now to go back and convince the youth. Because after this, the leaders that from State House are going to be sponsored to do civic education in their respective areas and meet leaders, youth leaders in the areas, to make sure that they are told the truth about what is going on. Now, let's face it. Why do you think the president was holding this meeting? 4 reasons. One, this meeting was also to do a therapy, or just try to assess Sagana 3 declaration. The Sagana 3 meeting. Because after that, of course, the president was supposed to do a tour there, but that did not still happen. He was still trying to assess. And I know at one point, he was asking the elders and the people that, what are people saying on ground after that Sagana 3? How are you finding it? And this was a question that he was asking the aspirants who are campaigning through Jubilee in the Central Kenya team, how the ground is being receptive to them. That is something that was also doing. 2, this meeting was to address the oath narrative by Moses Kuria. And let me tell you something that I've gathered about that narrative, that author, that it is a big issue. It is not something that should be underestimated. It's a big issue there, because the people, they used to take different oaths, like that was taken. And during that day, there were different oaths. There was that one of not vote Jaramogi Oginga. In fact, the oath was not to vote Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. It was nothing to do with circumcision also. It was just exaggerated. Then there was also another one of not to divulge the truth, or maybe divulge secret of the community to the whites. There was one of, even if you work with the whites, like there was that missionary interaction, you don't divide the secret of the community to the whites when you are in a missionary. And that is why, there is a bit of that. So the whole thing is something that is deep. That is why I want to believe that the president called that group to address it. Because the reason why that oath was there, the reason why the cultural aspect was thrown in the rubber, is because Ruto wanted to convince the senior members, especially the elderly, because that is the group that doesn't augur well with him. That is the group that supports Raila Odinga. So when you tell them about the oath, and you know that the old people are a bit reservational. They are more reserved. They are conservationists. So they conserve the culture, and they're the custodians of the culture. So that meeting was also to address it and tell the people about it. And I think if there is maybe sort of some cleansing, and I want to believe the reason why maybe it was not, the media was not given that much coverage is because of this. And it was addressed in that meeting. Now, partly, the president is preparing for the Central Kenya tour. This is something that has been long overdue. It was supposed to be done in January. It didn't happen. It was supposed to be done somewhere after Sagana. It didn't happen. After Jubilee NDC, it didn't happen. Now, in this, he actually mentioned that he's also going to hit the road. But he wants these leaders to prepare the way, to prepare the ground. The truth of the matter is that the Central Kenya is Ruto-nated. The Ruto has really gotten grip of that place. And if there is an uphill task, or if there is something that the president will be successful in doing, is not just making Azimio la Umoja coalition big, but uprooting William Ruto from Central Kenya. So what he's doing is to prepare the ground so that when he actually hits the road after the nominations, he's going to find it more easy to work the group. Now, lastly, I also want to believe that the president was using that opportunity to respond to the latest attacks on his family, his presidency, and himself. You know, the UDA team, the UDA team, they were attacking the president, attacking the president's family, the president's mother, that Uhuru has also done nothing to the gamer. You know, all this was there. So he was also taking this opportunity to respond to this critically. And I think I read in Standard that he told the elders, he was asking the elders, nyinyi mshaienda Kalenjin or maybe Rift Valley mkaona wale viongozi wanatusi Ruto huko, na mimi nakuja natusiwa huko na nyinyi mmenyamaza. And even in any electioneering period, even when I was in confrontation with Raila, did you ever see Raila attacking my family or attacking my mother? This is for the first time that my mother is being attacked. And you know, that is a meeting with the elderly. And this is something that is happening. So what Uhuru is doing, he is actually personalizing the attacks. And that is what the other people are doing. They're getting it wrong. When you attack Uhuru on his government, it's universal because the government is made with the rest of the country. But when you attack Uhuru's family, it becomes a personal attack and it is one-on-one. And that is what I think the other team are getting wrong now. That is, ladies and gentlemen, that's a brief of what happened at State House. And of course, we are waiting for other subsequent meetings.